Make sure that you have something to sit up on. If you either have like a couch cushion or a rolled up towel or yoga blanket like thing. We're going to do a lot of folds today. So this will help a lot. And also, I like to start sitting up like this. It really helps to soften in the hips. I got two blocks around. If you don't have yoga blocks, that's fine. If you may not decide that you need them. Um, we are going to do some folds. We're going to do kind of an inward practice today. And as we're working into this space, this turning inwards, talk a lot. I feel like before 2020, we talk about how our nervous system, our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems work to protect us from like a possibility of getting eaten. Like the reason we experience heightened senses and the reason that we have evolved into, judgment and discernment and being cautious of the other is that the other might eat us. Because, like years and years, there's so many people popping in. Oh my goodness. Hello. Welcome. I'll just repeat again. We are sitting up on like a little couch cushion or a blanket or whatever. I cannot see for the life of me, so I'm very stoked that you're here. If I don't know you, great. Hi, I'm April. If I do know you, I'll see it when I get up. I am sitting up on a little couch cushion. I've got blocks around if you have them. If you don't have them, don't stress out about it. So I was talking about getting eaten, which prior to 2020, I used to joke that we have these stress responses based on this like biological response that, oh, am I going to get eaten or am I not going to get eaten? And I was thinking as I'm like trying for the 10th time to clean up my kitchen today, I'm actually kind of worried that I'm going to get eaten now. Like that seems like a reasonable thing to be worried about at this point. We've got this pandemic that keeps escalating and de-escalating, and the social unrest resulting from how all of these people are trying to manage this incredibly heart-wrenching and terrifying time. And like, I don't know, I signed up to run this race that I might not survive next week. And I'm just like, oh man, maybe we are gonna get eaten. And we get into this space where we start to get this heightened response state, right? You can tell, like, for me, I just feel like my whole body starts to buzz, my brain starts to buzz, because you need to be really tuned in to whatever the possibility is of what might eat you. And that is so draining, so draining, right? Like you think of how much more energy you put out, even like just, yeah. We need to still seek balance. I'm not actually going to get eaten, probably at least safe in my living room here where I'm up on the second floor. I have a guard dog, but like really, I'm probably not going to get eaten right now. So we can take this opportunity to turn inwards, to be nourishing into the body, to be grounding in our practice, to maybe tone down some of the frenetic energy of the heat of summer, of the chaos of the go, go, go that we often find ourselves in, especially, like during summer now, we might feel more open to more activities and more things and more social engagements. And that can be hard, even on those of us who are extroverts and doers. Yeah. So we're going to work inwards today. Let's start with face brushing, index finger and thumb together. We're going to start at the center of your forehead, brush outwards towards your temples a few times. And then brushing from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. From your temples down to your chin, along your jawline. And from the sides of your nose down to your chin, along your laugh line. And massaging underneath and behind your ears, feeling for the soft spot, and then lifting upwards from the bony spot above the soft spot, feeling your whole spine get just a little bit longer, a little bit more spacious. Take a nice big breath in. And a breath out. And rest your hands down comfortably somewhere in your lap. As you take a couple of breaths and settle into your body, settle in for practice. One of the yamas and niyamas that we don't talk about very much because its most common translation is celibacy or chastity, and the Sanskrit word is brahmacharya. But really, it's deeper than just the idea of like, don't have any fun, sexy time. If we get really practical with how this really shows up in the lives of the layperson, you and I, this becomes do not make unnecessary expenditures of your efforts and energy, of your prana. There are times when it is useful to be in that frenetic state, to be productive, to be excited, enlivened, on guard. But we can't exist in that place all of the time. We will burn out. When I do not need to go, 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 let's try to be here, be here, be here. Take another big breath in through your nose. Deep breath out through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms or scream into the void. Inhale. Ah. And blinking your eyes open. If you've had your legs crossed up, you're going to uncross them. Let's all bring the soles of the feet together and knees out wide. You're going to take a little stirring around, just kind of rocking around in a circle. Perhaps loosen and warm up your pelvis. And then moving in the other direction, just letting yourself rock around a bit. After a couple of rocking around rotations, start to settle yourself back in the center here. You're going to take your right hand down to the right side and then reach your left arm up and over, letting your shoulder blade come forward slightly. Don't let yourself round inwards, but can you open up that space kind of more in the back of your armpit there? And then lift the ears out of your shoulders, breathe in, stay there as you breathe out. And lift on up, taking your left hand to the left side, right arm up and over. Let that shoulder blade come forward. Notice I didn't round my heart forward. Reach out a little bit longer, breathe in, stay there, soften, breathe out. Nice and long in the back of the neck. Soft in the jaw muscles. One more round of breath. And then coming up, you're going to bring your right hand right back behind you, real close to your hip. Take your left hand to your left knee. Lift up a little bit taller. Breathe in. Now soften your low ribs in as you breathe out. Getting every inhale a little bit taller and every exhale a little bit softer right in that belly space. One more breath. And unwind yourself, twist over to the other side. Left hand in nice and close, right hand to your knee. Lift up tall in the spine, breathe in. And as you exhale, soften into your midsection, allowing that rotation. Let your collarbones relax. One more breath. Releasing your twist. We're going to come down onto our backs. So go ahead and slide whatever you might be sitting on now or later off to the side. Oh, hello. Hi. And then put your right ankle on your left knee. Let's start off Sukhi Vandrasana, or reclined pigeon. You're going to grab onto that left thigh. I've got right arm in between the legs, holding this left leg in close. Flex your feet. If you flex your feet, you've got a little bit more action going on here. Just enough to start to warm you up. Take another breath in. And a deep breath out. And then you're going to take your right hand, hold on to your right shin, drop your left foot down, take your left fingers in between your toes. If you really can't get them in between the toes, then you can play this little piggy went to market and this little piggy had a tofurkey sandwich. But if you can get them in between your fingers, you're also going to roll your foot around at the ankle in a couple of circular pathways, squeezing the toe bones with your fingers, and then roll that circle in the other direction. This is intense in your hips. It's not just you, you're not alone. It's a doozy. And then relax that leg. You're gonna release the foot. We're gonna make the leg as straight as possible. Hook your hands around your hamstring and then press your hamstring into your hand. Jezebel, you are not helping. Thank you. No, thanks. Okay. Big breath in. Big breath out. You should feel your hips going down into the floor, yeah? One more time, breathe in. Big breath out. Relax that leg, set your foot down. Take your left ankle onto your right knee, and then we'll hug arms around the right leg, drawing them into you. Feet are flexed. So this is relaxed, flexed. Steady flow of breath. One more exhale. And then you're going to take your left hand, hold your left shin, drop your right foot, take your right fingers in between your toes, or this little piggy went to market as you feel is appropriate. Let's see if you can move. If you got the fingers in between the toes, you're going to take this circular rolling around the ankle. And then roll it in the other direction. And then when you've got all that sorted out, you're going to release your foot from your hand, extend that leg. You're going to catch both hands around your hamstring. The leg gets as straight as you can manage, and the whole leg presses forward. It should be kind of hard to hold on to it. You're trying so hard to push that leg outward. Check in with your breath. One more exhale. And then release that leg. Go ahead and set your feet down. We're going to take the right thigh and cross it over the left thigh. Open your arms out nice and easy out by your sides. And then you're going to take a little scooch of your hips over towards the right side. As you turn over towards the left, you're going to catch yourself on your foot. So don't go into the deepest twist you can. But if you catch yourself on your foot here, you should start to feel this side of the hip opening up. I want to think of your belly button creeping over towards the right side as well. Stay here for 2 more deep breaths. Start to unwind your right leg, scoot your hips back to center so you start from neutral. And then hop your left leg over your right leg, hop your hips over towards the left a little bit, and you'll go down just until you get that foot catching. Even if you can go deeper, I don't want you to go deep in the legs just yet. We're going to think of rolling the belly over towards the left side. I like to think of my my belly button scooching over, even though it doesn't really. Notice where tension is, because it's gonna come in sooner or later. And we observe it, and instead of getting stressed out about the fact that our body's stressed out, we lovingly give it permission to relax in those spaces. Last exhale. And unwind your legs, come back to the center, scoot your hips on in. We're gonna roll over onto our bellies now and come up into Sphinx pose. Get up and over. You're gonna bring forearms underneath your elbows, and you'll be stacked up here. We get a nice soft heart opening. Actively open your collarbones a little bit wider. And then let your chin rest down towards your chest. Try to keep your collarbones still open. It's a nice, soft, passive heart opening here, stacked up on the arm bones. One more exhale. And start to lift your head up and look off and forward, still lifting up from behind your ears. You can expand those collarbones a little bit more. One more inhale. And exhale, widen the elbows, slide yourself down. Go ahead and give yourself a little rest, forehead or cheek down to your hands. One more breath out. And then start to press yourself up onto your hands and knees. We'll take a few rounds of cat and cow. So if you do not have a very squishy floor like I do, you're going to bring a towel or some sort of squishiness underneath your knees. And we'll work through dropping the belly, looking up as you breathe in. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, looking up. Exhale, round up. So you're going to fan your tail feathers out in your cow pose. Feel your pelvis opening up back there, and then draw the belly in, rounding deep into your core. Inhale, feel the pelvis expand behind you. Exhale, draw the belly in. One more like that. And then come back in the center. You're going to take a couple of circles of your right knee around. You can take it up, loop it around, see if you are able to stay steady in your breath. And then move the circle in the other direction. And then bring your right foot forward by your right hand. And then if you have blocks, you could grab blocks to frame your front foot. If you feel comfortable having fingertips down, that's okay too. If you've got blocks or token novels or anything. And then let your hips start to rest forward and your heart start to turn up. And notice your right hip. See if you can rest it back towards your back foot a little bit more. Now, most of us are able to have the hips a little bit further forward here than we might in another positioning of this shape. So try to keep the hips forward, or notice how it changes as you lift yourself up. Maybe one, maybe both arms come up. So if you notice all of a sudden you're way back here, see if you can come forward a little bit more, but push down in that front foot. One more inhale. And then you're going to take your left hand down to a block or to the floor, leave your right arm up and pull your right hip back. Let's soften into the belly in that twist. Relaxing that right collarbone more open. Big exhale. And then take that left hand down. You're going to start to pull your hips back and straight-ish the front leg. If you being straight at all, you can't really go back much further, you're going to scoot your foot forward and then try to straightish the leg. Relax that right hip back. One more round of breath. And then try not to move your foot too much. You want to come forward, and you might not feel like you've got the knee exactly over that foot. That's okay. We're going to do a little bit of a flow here. It's going to be easier to balance if you leave your right hand down and just do this with your left arm. I will warn you, it's a little bit wonky, but you could try it. We're going to take an inhale. And then exhale, I'm going to straighten the legs, swoop my hands back, and lean the heart forward. I know, it's kind of wonky. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, heart forward, right hip pulls back. All right, try 2 more times. Look at something that's not moving. Ooh, this is just to warm you up, not to like be the test of our yoga practice today. And then take it up. Good. And then one more thing, hands to your heart. We're going to take right elbow to the left knee. Just do a little twist. And push into that front foot. Big exhale. And then release your twist. We're going to take the hands down. Slide that right leg back. Find yourself back to hands and knees, and then follow whatever movement sounds good to you. Maybe you're feeling a little side-to-side action, or you want to try that cat and cow again. This is one of those, I feel like I have somebody else's hip on the one side. This is not my beautiful hip. How did I get here? I cannot tell you how often, that breath. I cannot tell you how often that song seems to be coming up in life. We're always just like, how did I get here? What's going on? The 20s. It's an interesting, like, oh, okay, hands down. Where do we start? We start with these little leg circles. So you're going to circle your left thigh around a couple of times here, yeah? Okay. Warming it up, getting it strong, and then circle it a couple of times in the other direction. And then move it up to where your left hand was, and you might grab blocks. Notice I'm doing a little toe scooching forward because I had more space than I arrived in. And then with whatever space is available, and there might not be a lot, you just don't get too stressed out about it. You're gonna let the heart lift up and forward. A little pressure down in the front foot, which helps to stabilize our positioning and get a little bit more firmly rooted into the foundation. And then as you take yourself up, notice if you had a tendency to scooch back here, and then see if you can move forward a little bit, but push that front foot down. One arm, maybe both arms, lift up. You keep feeling, don't let the hip go to the side. You're going to pull it back towards that back foot. Big inhale. And then maybe you leave the left arm up as the right hand comes down and you twist. Broaden those collarbones. Keep pulling that thigh back, softening around your belly. One more exhale. And then both hands come down. We're going to start to straight-ish that front leg. I find a little foot scooching is often quite necessary. A little softer with every exhale. And big breath out. And then you're going to start to come forward into that lunge again. We're going to reach the arms up. You can do like one hand on your thigh. It's going to help a lot. Or you can be a little crazy with it. Let's exhale. Hips back, heart forward. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, coming back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Last one. Exhale, pull it back. And then we're going to come forward again, lift the heart up. One last thing, elbow coming down to your thigh and twist. Soften that belly, pick those inner thighs up, ears out of your shoulders, exhale. And then lift up, unwind yourself. Let's bring hands down, legs back. If your knees are feeling tender, lay flat on your belly. If they're feeling all right, you want to scooch your hips back to your heels. Come down into child's pose. Maybe wiggle your hips a little bit side to side. One more breath out. And then we're going to lift up, shake your hands out, spread your fingertips out, press from your heart into your hands. We'll come up into downward facing dog. Feel your inner thighs lifting up, your outer calves pressing down, and your heart pressing into your hands. Try to relax your head. One more exhale. And then feet to your hands. Your heart on the ground. So come into a fold. I want you to soften into this fold as much as you can. And maybe you say to yourself, man, those blocks in this fold would feel great, or that stack of books, or that, empty beer growler I had laying around just to make my arm a little bit longer, whatever it is. Just make sure the weight's in your feet and not in your hands. You could take them off at any point. And then one more exhale. I'm going to start to walk it up. Slowly coming to standing. Let yourself situate. The blood goes back into the appropriate parts of the body, or at least the parts of the body it's used to being in while you're vertical. If you had stuff in your space, go ahead and scooch that away. A little balance. You're just going to take tree pose and then figure 4 balance. If it needed to be near a wall, if that's going to help you out a little bit, or come off of your mat, please do. If you want to mirror me, we'll start with the right foot down, firmly rooted, and not letting the hips fall back. So we don't want to crease this hip. I want to open this up. I'm going to take this foot up onto my calf or toes down, or lifting it above the knee. The lifting here, sending this thigh out. We've got warm and open pelvis today. That should help to lift up the front of the pelvis, which gets core involved, and maybe your pose is a little bit more steady. Checking in with your breath. Can I stand tall in this crazy contraption and keep my center soft? I'm going to shift from having the foot on the inside of my leg to bending into my right leg and putting my ankle on my knee, and then sit both of my hips back. One more exhale. Stand up and release that foot. Give a little bounce around. It was a long time on the one leg, so I'll stretch that one out. Going through the other side. So lifting up tall, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Maybe I'm up here, but don't put pressure on your knee. Come wherever it's going to work for you. I just got a massage. My whole body is lotioned and very slippery. This is very awkward, so I might lose a leg. Lift your hips up. Lift the backs of your ears up. If you want to lift the corners of your mouth up, it's always a good opportunity. Check in with your breath as your foot slips down your leg, maybe. And then you're going to bend into that standing leg, put your ankle on it, and sit those hips back. Exhale, soften something. One more breath out. And then come on up, set your foot down. wrap and wiggle things. Kind of go a little bit wider than your hips with your feet. We're going to come back into chair pose. So starting with a wide chair, send your hips back, see about reaching your arms out. And you want to feel like your hips are going to pull away from your hands, like you're creating like a little traction or suspension, like you're being pulled in opposite directions. One more exhale. And then stand on up. You're going to bring your feet from wider than hips to about hip width apart. And try that again. Sit back. Same function. Hips pulling back, arms reaching forward. One more exhale. And then stand up. Inhale. Let's lean the hips forward slightly and lift up from the front of the pelvis. And come back to more neutral. This time bringing insides of the feet together to touch. Let's sit back. Same function. Reaching hands out away from the hips. Keep that reach. Bring your hands to your heart. Take your left elbow down towards your right knee or hands to hip and knee. I'm going to reach the hips back. Reach the tailbone back. Ears go out and forward. One more exhale. Come back to the center. Let's straighten the legs. Reach the arms up. Lift the hips up and forward. And then start to pull the hips back. Reaching hips away from hands and keeping that length in your spine as you bring hands to heart, left elbow or right elbow down to left knee, maybe hand to hip and knee. Long in the spine, reaching those hips back. Push down evenly into both feet to keep your knees from going in opposite directions. One more exhale. Unwind. Inhale, straighten your legs, lift up, feel the fronts of your hips coming forward. And then releasing your hands down to your heart. We're going to widen the legs here, taking a very wide-legged forward fold. You've got blocks. Grab blocks if that's going to help have your arms longer and your body a little bit more steady. Maybe you don't have blocks, whatever. Grab a thing if you want a thing. You can also bend your knees a lot. Let's come forward into a nice, easy fold. You can walk your feet, fingertips back so that they're in between your feet. Go for it. Maybe you bring the weight of your feet into your toes a little bit more than your heels. Not that you would lift your heels up, but that you would have just a little bit more of a shift forward. And then try to relax your neck. One more exhale. A little bend in the knees, hands to the hips, stand yourself up. We're going to shift from here into triangle pose. So turn your right toes all the way over, your left toes over slightly. We get that shift in the hips, the top hip turns over, and then coming out into triangle. Push into the big toe edge of your left foot. Maybe that helps to relax the top hip. If that makes no sense, don't worry about it. And then this upper arm, I want to open from the collarbone out, from the shoulder out, and then keep that open as I reach the arm up and over. And I'm not taking arm up so my shoulder's pinchy. I'm letting the shoulder blade come forward. Oh, extra stretch. I'm going to go from here all the way back down into that wide-legged fold. So I take the hands down, might bend the knees a little bit, turn all 10 toes to face towards that wide side. Just take a breath to relax your spine. Bend the knees. Maybe this time you roll it up to standing. And then shifting in the other direction. Got that hip shift. The top hip comes over slightly and coming out into triangle. Long lines. No, not breaking at the shoulder, lifting that shoulder up. And then reaching that arm up and over if that feels good to you. Long, all the way out through that side body. One more inhale. And then fold it down, walk your feet over, walk your hands over. If you're feeling into it, maybe you grab opposing elbows, give a little sway around and play with the time and the shape. A little bend in the knees, maybe you roll it back up again. We're going to turn all the way over towards the right now, coming into a warrior one stance. So just checking out that you've got that like wide space in between your legs, and then straighten the front foot. Back foot is turned up slightly. Reach back. If you want to hold your hips, you can hold your hips. If you can hold your elbows, try holding your elbows. So we've got a soft opening of the chest that shouldn't be too intense. We'll just keep that opening as you come forward over that right leg. Keep picking your right hip up and back. If you can communicate with this part of your body, reach the elbows down towards your hips. Exhale. Draw your belly in. Release your arms. We're going to bend into the front knee. If you can manage on your back foot to hop up onto the toes, we'll do that. And then reach the arms up. Feel your hips coming forward, your back leg pressing strong, your heart coming up. Let's stretch out the front of that back hip. Big inhale. And then exhale, soften. Let's pivot all the way over towards the other side. We're going to come into our left side. And so we're going to find warrior one. Got this little bit of right to left space, train tracks, then straighten the front leg. Take the arms back. If you're grabbing your elbows, now try grabbing them. Oh man, it really does feel like my arms are on wrong. See how you go with it. And then the heart comes forward, pulling that hip up and back. Why not pull the hip up and back? Because then you end up here. You have to pull the hip up and back so you're squared forward. Length on both sides of the waist. Exhale. Draw your belly in, release your arms as you stand up. We're going to bend into the front knee. Maybe you hop up onto the back toes and then reach those arms up. Big open lunge. Ooh, big inhale. And exhale, release. Let's turn it open. Okay. Last standing thing that we're going to do is fighter man warrior is what I call it. So it's like warrior one, but instead of being like this, it's going to be like the floor is like the side of a skyscraper and you're just crawling yourself out on it. So you're going to find warrior one legs, and I'm going to show you might have a block or two blocks. I'm going to face you. Good. Okay. Just in warrior one. Front leg, back leg. Notice where my hips are. Yes? I face to you. I did not go here. Your knee did not go wonky. The booty did not go that way. And yours isn't going to either, because you're going to keep working on pulling this thigh back. Yeah? Also, weight is in your feet. Even if you were climbing a wall, there's a lot of power that's going to be helpful in your legs. So I'm going to try not to put a lot of weight in the hands. I'm going to take the hands down. Okay? And the tendency is to do what? That. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay here, present with my body. Oh, I can be a lot longer there. There we go. Okay. Now, you want to think of like corner here, not wall, because then what happens to my knee? I'm going to go corner here, and I'm going to push in the front foot. Oh my gosh. I'm just resting my fingertips on these blocks. More like child's pose in the upper body. Good. How are we doing? Yeah. One more exhale. And then walk your hands back in. And stand yourself up. Good. And switch sides. There's a lot here, right? And also a lot here. Let's get it into the other side. Okay. So I've got my front foot. Got this space. My hips go forward, trying to keep that knee forward. I'm going to come down and then keep pulling that front foot back as I reach those arms out just as long as I can. So I'm thinking long spine, relaxing lower back. Big exhale. Walk it back. Go ahead and stand yourself up. Bring the feet towards each other. Oh, we're gonna sit down in a squat. If you want to put a block or a stack of books underneath your hips or sit your hips right down on the floor, you are very welcome to do that. Let's go feet a little bit wider than hips. So turn the knees and toes out slightly. You might have to do that awkward foot dance when we get down there. We'll see what happens. Drop it down. Minor awkward foot dance for me. Remember in chair pose where I said you're going to reach your hands out away from your hips? Do that with your head reaching out away from your hips here. You might feel like your upper butt relaxes downwards a little bit more. It's kind of neat. Big exhale. And then plop your bum on down. Bring the soles of your feet together. And we're going to come forward just nice and relaxed in the back. Don't worry about getting your nose down onto your toes. We're just going to soften the back. 3 more breaths. Start to lift yourself up. We're going to transition to hands and knees. Once you get to those hands and knees, we're going to thread the needle. So I'm going to take my right arm, slide it underneath, come out down onto my right shoulder and the right side of my face. I would recommend coming up on the fingertips on the left side. I find that that gives me the most space and also the most support. It's a really good balance for me. You might decide differently, arm over, palm stacked, arm behind your back. All of that is totally fine if that's what you're like, no, I really need that other thing. Just my suggestion. And then if your hips are sliding over towards the left, can you give them both the freedom to release back towards your toes instead? One more exhale. And then if you've been up on fingertips, replace your left palm down. We're going to unwind the right leg and then slide, or that's an arm. Slide the left arm underneath. Pinching the fingers if that feels good. And like, see, I still scooch my hips out that way, but it feels better once I relax them back that way. So it goes there, but I want it to go there. Yes, I have the response of having heightened sentences when something is different. It is useful, but I don't want to stay there all the time. One more exhale. And start to bring yourself up. Come back to the hands and knees. You're going to take your right foot up, this time outside of your right hand. And if you're able to bring the foot a little bit further forward, maybe the hands a little bit further forward, you do that. Let's stay up on arms here. You're just going to keep resting the right thigh bone back in the hip socket. Be thinking of having the whole footprint, just making a finger, a paint print, a footprint in paint down into the floor. Say that 5 times fast. I'm not sure I said it once properly, but I hope you talked. Big exhale. Now you're going to take your foot and you're going to tilt it over so you're just on the pinky toe edge of your foot. Let that knee turn out slightly. It might have released your hips a little bit further forward. So my big toe is up. Exhale. Bring your foot up. You're gonna wiggle the foot back. Turn the knee and the toe out. I'm gonna sit down. Ooh, on left hip. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ooh. Well, this might be a personal experience, but this is one of the most intense things I've done lately. It's gonna feel a little bit softer if you let this top hip roll back, but if you can, move it that way. And then find breath. Oh my goodness. Big exhale. And then release that top. You'll have to let me know later if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, April. I felt totally fine there. And then I'll just know that. Oh, okay. It's just me. I hope that was a useful experience for all of us. Let's go back. Back to table pose. This is what I miss about being in person, is I could just be like seeing your faces. Like I can see you in there and I can't like see your faces. I can barely see anything. So yeah, okay, so your other foot is coming up and then you wiggle it forward. And then we want to come out to a place with long arms and a long spine, making a whole footprint in paint down onto the floor. I'm training somebody new at my day job and having a Zoom meeting. I'm like, hold on, I gotta go find my glasses. I swear they're making the font smaller on everything. I used to spend so much time making fun of people for saying that, and karma got me on that one. All right. Let's be here for about 3 more breaths. See if you can keep up with that footprint. And then you're gonna let your foot tilt, and the knee is gonna tilt up, and the the big toe is gonna come up, and the hips might release a little bit more forward, or it might just feel different. One more exhale. And you're gonna drop the foot back down, pull your hips back, pull the foot back. You're gonna turn the knee and the toe out, and you're gonna sit down on, oh goodness, on your hip. All right, and we're trying to stack the hips. Giving it, a reasonable amount of effort for whatever our energy and intensity level is going on right now. One more breath. And then roll onto your bum, release those legs. Let's come into a seat, extending legs out in front of us. Now, you might decide through most of what we're gonna be doing that it's gonna be nice to have a pillow just barely underneath like the back half of your bum. Or another way to think of this is if you actually take whatever your squishy thing is, it can also be arranged like so. And if you have a hard time with that positioning of the pillow halfway under your bum, sit on the corner of it. Same thing, yeah. So it might be a little bit easier to wrap your brain around when it's all yoga mushy, because sometimes yoga mushy brains are difficult to wrap with. So we're going to take left leg up, bring your right leg in, cross it over. It feels good, or leave it here if it does not feel so good that way. We're going to hug the thigh, take the right hand in behind, and then take a little twist over towards this right side. One more exhale to let your belly soften. And release your twist. You're going to take this leg over now, open the knee up. Just gently press the flesh down. Don't torque your knee. Left hand goes back, opening that hip and twisting up and over towards the left. Breathing out. Release it. Send the right leg forward. Tuck your left leg in. Cross it over if that works for you. Keep those right toes lifted. Hug the thigh. Yes, my hand is back here, but I just have long arms. Yeah, I'm not like leaning back. Up tall in the spine. Softening the belly into this twist. Big exhale. Release your twist. We're going to take that leg on the inside, open the knee up, gently press it down, twist up and over towards the right. One more exhale. And then releasing your twist, releasing your leg. I'm going to take the legs out wide now, so I'm going to shift. Look at my thing back there. And legs go out wide. Okay, we're going to start with, let me see, I'll mirror you. So go ahead and take your right leg and slide it in. I'll take the left arm out and the right arm goes up and over. Let that shoulder blade come forward and the low ribs soften in and back. Check in with that space on the side of the neck. Reach your ears out of your shoulders. Breathing out. And then coming up. We're going to turn towards this leg and fold forward. Let your belly soften. There is a twist happening. One more breath out. And then bringing yourself back up, we're going to open the legs and shift over to the other side. So bring the left leg in and then side bend. It's like, what are we doing? I don't know what we're doing anymore. What's happening? I'm lengthening my side body. Oh, okay, good. Dropping my hip down, breathing, neck is long. Big breath in. Breathing out. And come on up. Turn your body over towards this leg. Let's come out into a fold. Softening with every exhale. One more breath out. And then come on up. We're going to go both legs out wide now. Okay. Taking your hands back behind you. Lift your chest up. Feel the big toe edges of your feet press out. Good, I got all the right body parts there. Lifting your chest. And soften your chest. We're going to slide the legs in so that the feet are planted, but the knees are still wide. Take your elbows on the insides of your thighs, palms together, and lift your chest up. Can you feel like your hips are dropping down into your cushion just as much as your ribs and your head are lifting up away from them? One more exhale. And release these hands. You're going to take them back behind your feet. See if you can walk them out. And soften in here. You can let your back round. Let the body kind of slump inwards a little bit. There's something you don't hear as an opportunity in yoga. But maybe feels like you could get the feet a little further away. maybe it feels like you could bring the feet closer together to allow for this. All of it is between where I was and where I just had. There we go. Okay. And then maybe there's some further scooching. We've got blocks or books, maybe. You might set something up for your head. There's many resources available to you, including choosing a different alignment of the body, maybe taking a more like, quote, normal, whatever normal is, in a fold. You might find a space and then think, oh, I should back up a little from here. Oh, wow, look at that. I've got a little bit more room to move forward. Let me check this out. And then you do that. And you explore a bit. I'm gonna be here for a couple of breaths more. So checking in with your positioning. Maybe there's more room, or now there's too much room and you need to change something. One more exhale. Start to unwind your arms. Take yourself up if you are laying face down on something, and you can move that something. We're going to take cross leg. Start by crossing your legs. Just see what happens naturally. Now do the opposite. Okay. If this is something that, is like a place where your body doesn't usually like to go, you're going to hang out here. If you're thinking, but I mean, like, half lotus is maybe not always super comfy, but maybe it's a little bit more comfy for me here, you can stay here. If you're feeling a little bit more open in the hips today, it might be a good time to try fire log. So I'm going to sit over on the bottom leg's hip a little bit, and then I'm going to pull this hip back. I try to bring ankle on knee on ankle. How am I doing? Okay. I'm going to hold onto the knees, just giving myself a little lift into the spine. Let the heart open, let the spine lift up tall, right from that spot behind the ears. Letting my ego go and giving me the opportunity to shift into a different position if this is no longer the right choice at any point. I'm going to let us have 10 long, deep breaths here. Just finding long breaths, a steady response in the body, a softening, the swirling of the mind, even in this fairly intense place. All of this hip stuff is intense place. Life is an intense place. Just noticing how your body responds, giving it permission to soften. A gentle, kind encouraging to soften. You've probably got about one more breath. And when you think you've done 10 or you just don't care anymore, go ahead and relax a little bit. We're going to wind up the other way. So having this side was probably going to be your slightly more open side. This is going to be the side where your body tends to feel a little bit better about sitting cross-legged. So just knowing that and observing that without judgment, just, acknowledgement of, this is how it goes. Like if I, do the bad thing with my legs, it hurts. If I stick my head in the lion's mouth, I may get eaten. One of those things we've learned as a good response. Also, like noticing where like maybe some of our injuries that are our tenderness might require just a little bit more care and giving yourself that care. Take your head out of the lion's mouth. Let's take 10 deep breaths right here. And starting to open your eyes if you've had them closed. We're going to unwind the legs and then come down to sitting or laying on our backs. I'll meet you down there. If there's something you want handy for Shavasana, make sure you've got it handy. Bring your knees in, give yourself a squeeze. Oh, so much room in the hips. In fact, you got to do it, right? Happy baby. Oh, hip freedom. Movement of those legs around in those spacious worked out hip joints. Oh, oh. And release your feet and your knees come back together. Let's roll over into a twist. Knees to the right, arms open. A little bit of wiggling of the rib cage open to the left if that serves you. And then just let yourself settle down into this puddle of a human being, this beautiful human being puddle. One more breath like that. And then rolling over to the other side, letting the knees drop. Wiggle those ribs open towards the right a bit if you can, if you like it. And with every exhale, letting your body yield to this position. Finding this surrender. The time will come again to be turned on, to expend energy, to go forth and do. But for the time that is now, we do not have any energy or effort to expend. Therefore, we will attempt not to waste it. Give ourselves permission to preserve and regenerate it. Come back to the center. Put your feet down, let your knees knock against each other. If there's anything else you need at the end of practice, go there. Otherwise, you can start to extend your legs out or choose any resting Shavasana position that works for your body. Got lots of options. I'm going to stay here in half petting dog. Rest very well. starting to come back to your body, back into your breath. And try to keep this softness with you. Trying to find a way to move through this wild world with as much of this softness as possible. And we may be a little bit more centered and present and possibly more compassionate and slow to frenetic responses if we are more familiar with existing in this peaceful place. As you're ready, start to roll yourself over to your side. And I want to think that, like, if you had brain juice, which you do, you have brain juice, try not to stir or shake your brain juice as you move from this place of gratitude for your practice up into a nice comfy seat. Whenever you arrive, bringing your hands together at your heart. And feeling this practice, releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down, we honor the love, the light, and the darkness that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Go forth and have marvelous days, everybody. Let me know if you have questions about things. I have mentioned a significant possibility of going into in-person classes soon, and I no longer have any idea what's going on with that because Delta's kind of crazy and the world is kind of crazy, and I'm just very uncertain. And I think a lot of us might be in that place. So I have some in-person classes coming up soon this week for those of you who are around Portland. They don't have to do metal, but they're fun. And you can check like my Insta and my Facebook, have those all up there, and you can ask me if you're not entirely sure. But plan on, I will be here next week. I will not be here on the 22nd. So yes, next week, not the week after. And so there will be a little bit of on and off, but I think we're probably going to stick with this for a while, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, April. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel.
Good to see you again. Have a good week. Thanks. We'll see you later.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Robin. Take care. Bye, Jolene. Bye, Victoria. Bye, Marco.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.